Okay, this is the last session of today, right? So I didn't see so many people here coming in, but more people entering. So I want to ask more questions today instead of talking too much, because I want to see if it's not only my personal sharing, is about how people sharing your spirit back to me as well. That's about Sharism. So Sharism, in definition, is a very short the very shortest definition is the moment of sharing. Why you share, how to share, and what's the result of sharing. So it's a theory about sharing. It's a kind of new theory, we are developing, but actually it's from the people itself. So today I just want to share a little bit about Sharism theory by showing some cases we are studying from the meme, a very simple, small idea in our mind, how it can transfer into action in our real world, in the physical world. So it's always the question from our surroundings that why we share. It doesn't make sense, we only share information. We should try to do something in the real world. However, I would argue that it's just because of sharing, because of the message and memes spreading, adding up, and amplifying themselves, that we can make the world change. So it's the whole theory of Sharism, trying to discover the economic model of sharing. For example, I will ask you that why you are here today. The question is very simple, and you could answer me, maybe, I want to get some information, get some knowledge from this kind of discussion or lecture. The same question to me, why I'm here by myself? I want to share, definitely. But why I want to share is because of I can judge, I can absorb the energy from you guys, because you come here to listen to me, to give the courage to speak out, to talk about, to share more, and I feel it's a kind of fulfillment. This is kind of an economic model. I share out, you share me back. That's the basic model of Sharism. It's the same thing to the Web 2.0 world. We experienced for many years, and we discovered that the economic model is very much fair, because many people share their information, share their knowledge to the surroundings, and go through the whole social network, but they see real returns in their life. That's the economic balance we can see through Sharism. So I argue another thing, later I will mention, the more you share, the more you gain, the more you can get from your surroundings. This the basic rule will take control of the future internet world. I want to argue. But before that, I want to share you guys. Can you see this? Technical guys, please. We need to switch to the slide. OK. Anyone there? OK, perfect. I added this slide today, just before this, maybe 30 minutes before this talk. I want to share what is happening in China now. It's also based on the understanding of social media. So you guys maybe know this blind lawyer, Mr. Chen. He was protected, supposedly very safe in the US Embassy the whole last week, after some internet activists went to his village to save him out from house arrest of the local authority. And the US Embassy guys, folks, including the ambassador, take him to the hospital later yesterday. Supposedly, China government and US government reached an agreement to set him free forever. However, things changed. Originally, if in tradition, event happenings, we could say that the traditional reporters or media will say, oh, it's a good ending finally, and we published the report that the Chinese human rights record could have been reaching a new level, whatever. Yeah. However, it's just because of the social media. Yesterday, when the guy went to the hospital, people found that it's not really safe for him because his family member cannot see him in the fast food yesterday afternoon. And the guards there prevent people from visiting him as well. And for the hospital, it's surrounded by many policies to stop press and people to visit. Also, the mainstream media started to deleting people's buzzing about this case online in Chinese social media websites. However, there are still many people buzzing this case on Twitter, a blocked website in China, because many people in China, they use VPN to access this kind of global social media. So in this case, people found that it's not a real final solution to this human rights activist. Is that it's going to be worse because of the agreement didn't really execute it. And then many people started to question what's the deal between China government and US government. So afternoon, when so many people started to question the two governments and the mainstream media, reporting the happy news, and those traditional media reporters, they cannot stand still there. They started to investigate this. And the afternoon, all the media reports changed their tunes. So it's happened that in one day, it's not like the traditional, daily newspaper reporting one story and changed the next day, and it won't focus on the real-time happenings like this. So if you search now, Chen Guangcheng, you can see many Twitter updates. Yeah, maybe over 50, 1 minute, will pop up to your timeline because everything is still happening. And today is supposed to be the China-US dialogue, the strategic dialogue happening. Hillary Clinton is there. And let's see what will going on with this case, because many people are still worrying about the safety of the family. Okay, that's a real-time thing happening. But we love to go back to the old time when China was still in its prosperous age. There are many old inventions in China technically. Like this machine is a very interesting machine that tries to separate the grain from the pests and the straws. So it's a very effective machine to give people the food. And it's documented in a very early book back to 14th centuries. So it's very much advanced inventions in China. However, these kind of things didn't spread around the world. They kept in China for a long time, for about 500 years, until 18th century. And someone's in Scotland, they used this kind of invention to make money, because they copied this machine for many times. And people use this machine in different places, and they generate, they use this productivity tool to generate more money. And then advance the tool to use the horsepower and then use the machine power, more and more to the advanced world. I won't argue that just this machine lead to the industry revolution in the Western world. But anyway, it indicates something that in a closed country like in China, it's forever, in 2,000 years, it's a hierarchical world. Even there are some very creative innovations. If people don't really share these kind of things on knowledge, things couldn't be upgraded, couldn't be improved, and cannot make money. However, in the Western world, they did. You did. So, but things change today. We have many economic, phenomenon in China now. One is very famous called Shanzhai. Anyone here knows Shanzhai? What Shanzhai means? Oh, at least some of you, understand this. Shanzhai is the plain meaning of Shenzhen is village made, is something copycat, from the real product. For example, like the iPhone 4, when the product released, just after 1 week, there's a copycat in China called iPhone 4. So the same outlooking, the same roughly same functions, from the user interface. However, the performance or the other things could be different. And we have some other. This is a very interesting Germany-based, reward called the plagiarism. I'm not sure if it's the right pronunciation. It just try to reward is joking to those copycat of products, because when the depth and error multiplier invented in US, there's soon a Chinese copycat coming out. And also up to the military industry, they copycat the US and Russian jet fighters, as well the bullet train. China copied many technologies to put together into their bullet train to be the fastest growing high-speed rail around the world. So the question is Chinese, are those Chinese only copying, or they also can inventing? There's a big argument of this beyond copyright issues, the intellectual issues. I would argue that it's a very early stage of things happening in this country, because after long term of economic issues in China, they still need quite a while to learn from the world, and they try to share these kind of things from their design to their every aspects of the products. Then they learn to improve that. And I think it's kind of a good sign that many Chinese manufacturers, they are starting to collaborate with the international design studios. And this is kind of new model to link the design powers from maybe other areas into China to make it into product. We see many projects from a website called Kickstarters. Many people put up their ideas online, and they made this product in China to transform the ideas into the real product. So it's a kind of idea traveling from somewhere in the other world into China with the manufacturing capability, integration, so they can make the final product. This is a kind of a very good case of sharing. Let's talk about 10 years ago when we think about sharing. It's a kind of anonymous word. Many people may be very familiar with this comic. It's a kind of internet philosophy at that moment. When two dogs talk about the internet, one dog tell another the secret. Oh, internet is so amazing because on internet nobody knows your dog, right? Yeah, this is 10 years ago, even 20 years ago. Many people think about internet, but now it's changed. Because on the internet, even the dog want to show off themselves. They want to seek those followers. And some people perceive the followers as their social capital, and some people think that is fine. It's entertainment. So nowadays, we see internet, actually the social media age. After the Web 2.0 technology improvement, we see so many new identities emerging, the real identities. Whether you use the real name or not, is the identical thing to many people. They would love to start sharing from their social media, centers. So many people started to grow their furs around them. The fur is not the animal fur, it's the internet, kind of synapses to extend it to the world. It's like a hairy person around you. So you touch base the world with different synapses, some with your Twitter, some with your Facebook, some with your Google+, etc., and different kinds of blogs, photo sharings, and video sharing tools. So this kind of sharing is not so boring like the traditional sharing of your property. It's different property. If we share an apple with several guys, everyone can only get a piece of that, right? It's a kind of losing of, those physical part from you, because you have to be very, very gentle, very noble to sharing this kind of physical word. So to an Apple sharing is different. But for the idea sharing, for the information sharing and knowledge sharing, like today's OpenCourseware movement, the sharing things, it's not something about losing. It's about generating new torrent of bigger things. So if you have the identity around you, I share something online from my original creation, I would track this kind of sharing along a social network, like some people visualize those things, how those ideas were amplified or enlarged in the social network. However, it's not the traditional internet. We cannot find who is the original creator, because it almost goes to the big enterprise or maybe published, then lose your identity. Instead, today's social network give us a handle that everyone knows this is your creation. It's very much interesting to challenge the traditional copyright things. Why we protect copyright and intellectual properties before? Because we worried about we lose that, because other people could steal that as their creations. That's a kind of fear in our, emotion, our feeling. So, but with the kind of identity, resolution, we can have this chance to redefine how intellectual properties could be protected instead of using the traditional enforcement ways, like the patents, like the trademarks, etc. We see through the whole internet and can see how my ideas get across the social networks to be enlarged. So I just illustrate some people, interesting people in China. Some people may know Ai Weiwei, or Kai-Fu Lee, or Chen Guangcheng, the lawyer, and the girl, there in the right corner, who saved Chen Guangcheng from his home arrest by herself. All these kind of things, happening in China is based on not so long, just 3 years after Olympics, that the social media booming. Although Chinese government censored all those popular international social media websites, including Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, etc., Flickr. However, the local social media websites growing up, they started to take the role as the media to help people to share their information from their daily, meal to cute cat, to flowers, to their datings, whatever, in China. It unleashed the power of Chinese people from the traditional closure of information. It generated a lot of connectivities between different words. I illustrate these people because they belong to different words. Ai Weiwei and the author, they belong to artists. And some guys left from the geeks groups. And some guys belongs to the activists. They're not alone. They're not in their own bubble. They were connected. So the information may flow from those connectivities. I call it circuit of information. It's just what we think about the brain neural network, as you mentioned later. So let's try to examine a case. I won't talk too much because you all know this Bin Laden case. It happened last year. But one of the very interesting sharing of this Pakistan engineer, he was waken up by the US military helicopters, the big sound. So he felt that, what happened, so noisy. So he tweeted this. However, Bin Laden himself, he's not a new-fashioned guy. He used mobile phone instead of Twitter. So he didn't check the Twitter timeline. Then he was attacked and to death. Let's think about this. If he used Twitter to check the timelines around his region, what could happen? People don't know that. It's something like WikiLeaks. You never know what could happen after some information shared out. It's opportunity change. So if we share ideas, I'm talking a negative case of this, maybe a very extreme case. But let's think about the opportunity when we share ideas. If we have some ideas, we keep it in the safe box, we never know the value of that. However, if you open it up to maybe express in different ways, in different language, we can see what could happen from along this kind of sharing. It's a kind of a viral effect. We never know. OK, these two guys, I want to talk more words between Ai Weiwei, and this guy is called Feng Zhenhu. He is also a legend figure in China. These two guys just met in Ai Weiwei's studio after this guy was allowed to enter in China after 90 days of stucking in Tokyo airport because he was there protesting China government not allowing to enter. He holds Chinese passport, but the China government, specifically Shanghai authority, doesn't allow him to enter Shanghai, and for several times abduct him back to Tokyo because he is an activist. So the guy stayed in the airport, like the movie Terminal showed. He stayed there and demonstrate, and the guy is a very traditional guy, so I called him. I called Mr. Feng, you can try a new tool called Twitter. He said, what? He didn't understand what that, and I tell him that you can use mobile phone to send out a message that everyone knows what's happening to you in the airport. So he started to use the tool. After 90 days of protesting, the China government allowed him to go back. Because what? Because so many people visit his tweet and send food, send clothes, and trying to buy tickets to visit him, to talk to him. It's a kind of face losing to Chinese government. So that's why the government cannot stand this kind of movement anymore from a single kinds of tweets. So these two guys, they together meet up finally and become friends. I call it open artivism. It's an art combination with activism. We need these kind of creativities like people mentioned. We need creativity, we need amusement, we need jokes, whatever, to try to break the traditional media control and hierarchical control. This is very much interesting and matters. So that's the definition of sharism coming. It's not the traditional sharing. We just try to push people to share, but don't give them any benefit of understanding. I don't think that money incentives is the only way to encourage people to sharing, because many people sharing today, they're not simply caring about money return, or at least don't care about immediate money return. However, I argue that if you share more, if you keep your identity, focusing, and if you use different tools and channels, like Mr. Feng, he keep trying updating his message, all the time, and eventually let all the world know him. As a kind of power, he accumulates from his social sharing. So sharism is a kind of accumulation of capital. The more you share, the more you can accumulate this social capital. It's kind of something valuable and measurable. It's not the virtue thing. So the social networks reconnect this kind of human nature, because our human nature started from sharing. Our society started from sharing of fares. No, not fares. Sharing fare lightening skills and sharing foods to each other to become interactive. And language emerged from sharing as well. It's the human nature, but we are losing that. Why? We need to think about this. So the theory of sharism is engaging with borrowing the methodologies and theories from the neurology, the neuron sense. I call it social neural network. For example, we ourselves here and around the world, we don't need to think too much about ourselves so much important. We just think back to us, we are a single small neuron in the big brain. Every neuron has many synapses to others. We need this kind of synapses, and we transfer the information to other neurons, and eventually this kind of neural network can generate many information flows and circuits to help our ideas to be shared, to generate larger torrents, to amplify the ideas, to be more creative and generate solutions with this kind of circuits, happen everywhere all the time. It's a social conscious happening. So we have this kind of pyramid thing from those every second sharing from tools like Twitter. We send from our mobile phones, devices, desktops every second around the world now. There are 200 million tweets every day on Twitter, merely Twitter, this website. And we have many blogs from this kind of torrents of information. Those bloggers will still collect those information to make it into article. And the journalists also make into reports, based on this kind of information. And then we have those more collective knowledge back to Wikipedia, etc., and into books. And then we got new theories and new consensus, from the whole society. This is kind of a collective effectiveness. And we can have more collective intelligence, even to a sense of sacred. You can perceive this sacred meaning by yourself anyway. So what's next? The Sharism book is writing, and I want to see that how Sharism could be applied to everyone's daily life. So we are trying to talk with many manufacturers, like the mobile phone devices. How can we ensure the pictures, the texts, the information on their devices can be easily shared to their social networks with a single click of a button, with a single click of a selection, that we can see the message starting from here, like this conference room, to the whole world. So that's my wish, and I think everyone can benefit from that. Thank you so much.